NFL Total Access presented by Mercedes-Benz Vans. So it's a good thing we've got 2 hours to do it. We are talking to Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay, Vic Fangio in Denver. We've got Jayon Brown from the Titans, Kareem Jackson of the Texans, and we've got signs that the Steelers might be ready to move on from Antonio Brown.
It absolutely sounds like a code red in Pittsburgh. Now, the Steelers not going to play a game until September. We have playoff football in about 48 hours. That's the first game, at least, of divisional weekend. The last game of divisional weekend features the number 1 seed in the NFC, the New Orleans Saints. They will not play outside of a dome for the rest of the playoffs, even if they go all the way to the Super Bowl. Practice today at their team headquarters, getting ready for a rematch with the Philadelphia Eagles. They stomped the Birds, as you probably know by now, by 41 points back in November. We go live to Metairie, Louisiana, where Tom Pelissero is there with the Saints. New Orleans fans, I hate to bring this up, but I must. The last time we saw you guys in the postseason, it was that whole Minneapolis Miracle thing. Tom, are they talking about that at all?
Well, Scott, Saints receiver Ted Ginn Jr. described it today as a taste in your mouth that ain't never going to leave. And they think they've got a chance to rewrite history starting on Sunday against the Eagles. Remember, running back Alvin Kamara said in one offseason interview he was sure if they had just beaten the Vikings, they would have gone into Philadelphia, rolled the Eagles, and moved on to the Super Bowl. Situation's different this time. It is the Saints with the number 1 seed, which means the Eagles must come here to New Orleans, where things didn't go so well for them back on November 18th. Saints won that game in a 48-7 blowout. I spoke today to veteran safety Kurt Coleman, the former Eagle, who told me, I just don't get the sense it's going to be that type of game on Sunday. We know the coach Sean Payton brought out the Lombardi Trophy and the stack of cash this week, but Payton said today he's also been imploring players to protect your routine. Stay with the rehab, stay with the preparation, don't get distracted by all the extra ticket requests. These Saints, Scott, think they're preparing for a 60-minute fight on Sunday.
Interesting. And they come in as maybe the freshest team in the playoffs. Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and even a couple of others basically had a double bye after not playing in Week 17. Tom Pelissero live with the Saints. Thank you for that. As for equal time, Aditi Kinkhabwala is with the reigning Super Bowl champs.
There has been a fair amount of talk this week about that Week 11 game, the 48-7 final, the one that the Eagles were on the wrong end of. Now, of course, head coach Doug Peterson, he poo-pooed the idea of there being any sort of revenge. But in the locker room, there's a little bit of a different tone. When I talked to defensive end Chris Long, he said, well, of course it sucked. It sucks to lose by 41. Malcolm Jenkins, he said that was definitely a catalyst for this team. He said it made the leaders feel some more urgency. He said there were quite a few side conversations on how to harness focus here within this team. Now, of course, the Eagles have gone 6-1 since that game. They are indeed healthier, and they're a very, very different team than the one that saw the Saints back in Week 11. But when I said to Jenkins, does it even feel like that game happened this season? He said, oh, that game happened. We remember it.
Catalyst. That's interesting. Philadelphia, a totally different team since they've last faced the Saints. In fact, that Week 11 meeting appears to have been a catalyst of sorts. Just one loss since then. They're averaging 5 more points per game. They're giving up 4 fewer points. Turnover margin is totally different, and so is the sack differential. But what does that mean for this game? James Jones, I know you are a believer in Foles, but he doesn't play defense. Willie McGinnis, and they gave up 48 points last time. How did it happen then, and why might it be different this time?
Well, the passing game, and Traquan Smith, the guy who has been out for a little while, had 10 catches for $157 against them. So Drew Brees does what he always is able to do, is spread the ball around to a lot of different people. Mike Thomas had a big day. Kamara had a big day. They won the one-on-one matchups, and it just seemed like Brees had a clean pocket the entire time. Where we're used to seeing the front for the Philadelphia Eagles get to the quarterback and give pressure, Brees had all day, and you had the one-on-one matchups like we're seeing on the board where the receivers were winning. He had a lot of different options, and he spread the ball around, and they beat him with tempo and good play design. So I would say now it's a different team when you're placing against the Eagles because they are getting pressure. They seem like they have rebounded from losing the defensive backs that are hurt. So now they're figuring it out and they're playing much better ball. You got guys like Rasul Douglas, guys like LeBlanc, Maddox, that's taking these positions of these starters. All those guys were Pro Bowl players last year that are out on IR. They're doing a better job at covering now. Seemed like it took a while. The defensive front is the defensive front of old now. They're getting pressure up the middle of the pocket, and they're doing a good job of making the quarterback get rid of the ball, else you're going to get sacked.
What about the offensive side of the ball for Philadelphia?
Offensive side of the ball, Nick Foles, listen, Carson Wentz in the game, inside the hashes, he's looking for Ertz. Nick Foles in the game, he's throwing his balls outside the numbers to Alshon Jeffries. He's getting Golden Tate touches, but this is going to turn into a one-on-one battle. And he's been looking for Alshon Jeffries since he's came in to go up and make the tough catches. Like I said last week, it's been plays where Alshon is jammed at the line of scrimmage. Carson Wentz will come off him, but Nick Foles is holding the ball, waiting for him to come open. And he's going to be on Eli Apple, or even if it's one-on-one against their best corner, he's going to give him opportunities to make plays. And then when I think about Golden Tate was not there last time they played the Saints. He's going to be in the slot. And he's either going to be on the third corner or it's going to be a safety come down to guard him. And all wide receivers love when a safety comes down and guards you because that means ball is coming your way. And I think this is going to be a problem for the Saints because it's a mismatch. If you got a third corner on Golden Tate or you bring a safety down to guard him, I think Nick Foles is going to look there.
How does Ertz fit into all this?
Ertz, I think, in this game, and I hate to say it because he broke the record catching with catches this season, but this is a decoy game for him. I feel like you motion him out wide, they'll bring a linebacker on him, safety over the top, but that's just so you free up Alshon Jeffries, you free up Golden Tate, give them the one-on-ones on the mismatches and let them go to work. And then if you continue to play next week, you get Ertz
involved. His head like this. Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh, really?
Well, I tell you what, if the Eagles are able to pull it off, it will be the first playoff loss ever for Breeze at the Superdome. He is 5-0 there with a 12-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Scott.
All right, Lindsay, the other game in the NFC, Saturday night, America's team comes to Hollywood. Cowboys, Rams, no word on whether or not Jerry Jones will arrive via the Pacific Ocean on the new $250 million yacht he just purchased. A win, though, I bet would make him feel like $1 billion. We got so many amazing angles to this story here, and we got you covered on both sides of the coin. MJ Acosta is with the Rams. Randy Moss is with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll start with him in Big D. Randy, let's get to the important stuff. Do you have Dallas injury updates for us?
Yeah. That's got to be pretty important here, especially at the wide receiver position. Suddenly, depth is an issue. We unfortunately all saw what happened to Allen Hurns last week against the Seahawks, but Cole Beasley came out of that game with an ankle injury, and Tavon Austin, who was also so valuable as a punt returner, came out with a groin injury. So here's the update as of today. For a third straight day, Cole Beasley did not practice. He just did some rehab work on the side. He is officially listed as questionable in the latest injury report. 2 days ago, Jerry Jones said he was very positive about Cole Beasley's chances to play. Questionable's 50-50. Very positive sounds more confident than that, so we'll see what happens. Tavon Austin, though, was a full participant in practice today, so he obviously is a go. Now, for Dak Prescott, who showed up on the injury report this week with a knee injury, again, a full participant. Dak says, Jason Garrett says, that the knee is no issue. There's obviously something there, but nobody expects Dak Prescott to be limited at all Saturday against the Rams.
Well, whatever dings they have, still a day and a half to get another, 24-plus hours treatment on those injuries. Thank you, Randy. MJ, we turn to you. The injury story for the last 2 or 3 weeks for the Rams was Todd Gurley, one of the MVP candidates, but we know he's back. What are the expectations for the star running back?
Well, Todd Gurley says that this week has been great for him, getting back out there at full speed. He was a full participant in today's practice. And Coach McVay agrees. Sean McVay said that he looked like Todd, like that explosive, great back that they expect. And Todd Gurley knows there's a huge spotlight on the rushing attack in both sides of this game. But when asked, Gurley said it's not about him, that it's about the entire team. And the guys in the locker room echoed that sentiment. The players we spoke with says that they have been focused on this team, on playing their best football, and on putting into action the confidence they've earned throughout the season. Coach McVay says they expect to win.
Rams and Cowboys, someone's going to the NFC title game. If it's the Rams, it'd be their first in 18 years. If it's the Cowboys, it'd be their first in 24 years. Here's the divisional matchups for you. Let's go chronological. It all starts on Saturday, late afternoon. The Chiefs at Arrowhead taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Cowboys and Rams, we just talked about the night game on Saturday. Sunday, it kicks off in Foxborough with the Patriots hosting the Chargers. Eagles and Saints wraps up divisional weekend from the Superdome. By the way, we'll get to the AFC matchups shortly here on NFL Total Access. Lindsay?
As for the coaching carousel, it's been a busy week there as well. Adam Gase hired yesterday by the New York Jets, a move Sam Darnold tells the New York Daily News he is super pumped and stoked about. FaceTimed with the former Dolphins coach yesterday and thinks his passion and emotion will rub off on guys in the locker room. Bruce Arians, another guy known for his passionate temperament, introduced today in Tampa Bay, rocking his signature newsboy-style cap in pewter, and talking up Jameis Winston. We will talk to him in our next hour about why he likes Jameis so much and why retirement just wasn't for him. We've also got a one-on-one with Vic Fangio, who was introduced today in Denver, his first head coaching job after 19 years as a defensive coordinator. Wouldn't comment on the reports that Gary Kubiak was coming with him as his OC, or wouldn't confirm them anyway, but he did confirm that he would be calling the defensive plays.
We're not going to cut any corners. Okay, I'm a fundamental coach. I think the game of the NFL, everybody thinks has changed, and it's a high-scoring league, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But fundamentals is still what wins in this league.
It also helps to have good players, and for those good players to actually play. Antonio Brown did not in Week 17, and the fallout in Pittsburgh continued today. Steelers president Art Rooney telling the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette it would be, quote, hard to envision Brown being with the team when they report for training camp. That report Brown has already responded to on Instagram with a picture of him and Rooney and the caption, good business. So what does all of this mean that AB's on his way out? Ian Rappaport, what do you know?
I do know that the Steelers, similar to what Art Rooney said, are expected to consider trade options, trade proposals for him this coming offseason. No doubt now, this is the biggest story for the Pittsburgh Steelers as far as determining which direction they're going to go in 2019. I know there's going to be interest. I know it is not something that, based on their cap situation, is impossible. In other words, they can actually save $1 million against their cap by trading him, and it is something they are going to consider. That is one option based on the comments from Mike Tomlin, the Steelers coach, after the season, essentially saying that AB quit on his teammates by not showing up. Based on the comments by Art Rooney, this is something they're going to strongly consider. The only other option is if Antonio Brown goes to members of the Steelers brass and professes to have changed his ways and apologize. That has not happened yet, and until it does, it seems like this is the direction Pittsburgh's going.
Yeah, it's never good when you won't return phone calls from the president of the team. Again, the earliest that a team could do anything official is March 13th, but as happened with Alex Smith last year, they could agree to a deal at any time. Thank you, Ian. Coming up, two special guests, a Titan and a Texan, a linebacker and a safety, Jayon Brown and Kareem Jackson. They're not on the field with their teams this weekend. They're on a scouting mission with us today. On the trick to beating Brady, picking off Prescott, sacking him 2, and taking 6 off of 12. I believe they're called trade secrets, and no, I'm not totally sure this is legal. Plus, it will leave you breathless. The one-handed, wrong-handed, open field juking, grown man jumping, down but not down, old but not old. Snow no longer expected for the Patriots-Chargers game on Sunday, but if it does snow, the home team is going to be ready for it. Pats practicing in snow flurries today in Foxborough, while the Chargers practiced in 65-degree sun. Omar Ruiz has more on them in just a sec. First, Mike Giardi is with the Pats and lucky to be inside, it would appear.
Yeah, not exactly the nicest day outside, although I suppose it could have been worse. We got a chance to talk with Rob Gronkowski today, and I thought it was very interesting, the overall vibe we got from him. He was asked about the physical limitations that he's dealt with this year, Lindsay, and obviously dealing with both the ankle and the back, and it's limited his production. And he said, well, whatever I've got going forward is what I'm going to give. That was his direct quote. Not exactly brimming with confidence, and you can understand why, because after his dominant performance in the Week 1 game against the Texans, His production was all over the place this year. And in fact, he finished with 47 catches. That's his lowest total since his rookie year in a season in which he's played at least 8 or more games because of injury. Also just 3 touchdowns. That is tied for his lowest number as well. And while we've seen some performances from Gronk that made you think, okay, maybe he's back on track, they've come in fits and starts, and he was pretty quiet to end the season. So I think the Patriots are hoping that the bye week does him some good and gives him some burst in those legs for when they play the Chargers, Lindsay.
What I've got is what I'm going to give. Not sure what to make of that. Omar, how are the Chargers in the health department?
Looking better today. Melvin Gordon back out at practice in a limited role after missing yesterday. He said he wanted to make all his cuts this week, and he's 100% confident that he'll be able to do so come Sunday afternoon. Another matchup to watch is these Chargers receivers against that veteran Patriots secondary. Tyrell Williams telling me they've been playing together so long and so well. They've developed such solid communication and trust. The Chargers receivers know they're not going to get anything easy. Williams saying they'll counter with the trust that Rivers has in them, Phillip Rivers that is, to allow his receivers to go up and make plays even when it seems like they're covered. It's the baby of the Patriots secondary, J.C. Jackson, that caused headlines yesterday saying he doesn't think anyone can catch a pass on him, to which Keenan Allen replied, he's tripping. Speaking of babies and Keenan Allen, he's expecting his 3rd child any minute now. Today is the due date. Allen telling me they may have to induce tonight so the baby can be born before he has to get on a plane tomorrow for Foxborough.
Oh, wow. So it could be a very big week for Keenan Allen and his family. That game Sunday at 1:05 Eastern. It'll kick us off in day 2 of the divisional round. Scott?
Playoff, baby. Playoff babies. Wow. All right, fellas, we're going to deep dive on some strategy or potential strategy for this Chargers-Patriots game. There's a report out there, a couple reports actually, that say the Chargers are going to sign a second kicker for the game. Michael Badgley's their field goal and extra point guy. He's been actually quite good for them this year, but he's not great at kickoffs. So they're saying they're going to sign Nick Rose, who's a kind of a kickoff expert who can put it in the end zone or directionally kick it the way they want to. Do we like that move, carrying 2 kickers in a playoff game?
I don't. I feel like, listen, go with your kicker, but put some starters that's on the defense. Put them out there to go out there and cover the kicks. That's what we used to do. Go cover the kick. Casey Hayward, Derwin James, Ajayi. You guys go down there and you cover kicks. Put some starters out there, because when you sign another kicker, okay, he can go out there, kick the ball up, but now you're losing the guy on special teams because he can't dress, because you're dressing
limited
a
roster
kicker.
spots. Yeah.
And then again, even with the weather, it's snowing. Who says he's going to kick it out of the end zone anyway? And then with the Patriots hearing this, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm saying, listen, they don't believe in their coverage. They're trying to get a kicker to bring it out no matter what. You know? So I disagree.
Patterson is dangerous.
I disagree with it, because I feel like go with your same kicker, put some starters on the defense that know how to tackle, they know how to fill lanes, and go down there and make some plays.
This is a 2-part answer for me. First of all, I think it's a great idea, because the Chargers have had history in the kicking game, which is a lot of it has been bad in the past, whether it's extra points, field goals, kicking the ball off, teams return it against them for the last couple of years. So I think when you address a problem and make an adjustment to help your football team or put your team in position to go out and play at a certain level and be confident that we know where we're going to put the ball at. Everybody wants to be comfortable. Everybody wants to know the situation going in. You don't want to be surprised if a guy goes out and he kicks the ball 10 yards short. Playing special teams, being one of those guys, it changes everything. It changes your route, the guys you chip on the way in. It also changes where you guys plan on making certain moves. So you got to be aware of that. And then the second point is, you got the starters these guys are all in on special teams. When you take other guys off of different things, whether it's starting defense or offense, and I get it, having your best players, it can become a problem. We went through this in the Super Bowl, one of the biggest games of my life, Super Bowl 31. Troy Brown did not dress. You see that lane Desmond Howard's running there right there? That was Troy Brown's lane right there.
Wow.
He was supposed to be in that game. When you alter things that have been going on the entire season, it opens up valleys, it opens up holes. Players play things a little bit different because they feel like they got to make up for guys that are not out there, or you may see a guy who's not necessarily used to doing things a certain way because you haven't been doing it all year long. It's an art to special teams. It's an art. You can't just go out there and line a guy up and say, hey, you're one of my best tacklers. Go do it. Plays like that happen. Guys who are used to doing it, they feel a certain way. And guys that are not used to doing it, they go out there and they don't know all the nuances to how you do it. So I would say it's a great move by the Chargers.
Okay, two things real quick. Cordero Patterson averages 29 yards per kickoff return.
Do not let him return it.
Second thing, you want to know who the last team to return a kickoff for a touchdown in a playoff game was?
Patriots.
It was the New England Patriots 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Could be the first play of the game.
Good
Could be
signing.
the first play of the game with Nick
Kick it
Rose
out of the end zone.
maybe
Starters
kicking it
is
off
gonna
right
be
there.
on you.
All right, we are getting closer towards the Super Bowl. We are also getting closer to finding out who will be the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year presented by Nationwide. And right now, these 32 finalists are competing in an online charity challenge. And if you want to get involved, here's what you do. You go to social media, use hashtag WPMOY Challenge, Walter Payton Man of the Year Challenge, and include the name of your favorite finalist. Whoever gets the most mentions on social media will receive a $25,000 charitable donation courtesy of the good folks at Nationwide. Well, if you want the truth about quarterbacks, don't ask a quarterback. Ask James Jones. Because he knows what he's talking about. Ask the wide receiver, right? We have seen some amazing things out of these quarterbacks. Some still left in the playoffs, some not. JJ's going to break it down. What's it like to catch a ball from someone who has a special...
Let's go, O. Let's go up front now. All day. Physical. Coming off the ball. Coming off the ball with leverage. Let's go. All day.
Don't get cocky. We got a long way to go.
I moved him. You know why? Keep it on him. Keep it on him. Let's go. Marlo.
Awesome, man. That's the way to run that rock.
The horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
Yeah, they're having some fun these days, and Frank Reich loves to point out that some of the people who do preseason power rankings had the Colts down in the 30s. Now, Indy's one of the last 8 teams standing. They have won 11 of their last 12, including the playoffs, and now they head to Kansas City with the 1-seed Chiefs waiting for them. Let's get a Colts report right now with Stacey Dales.
The Colts have remarkably won 10 of their last 11 games after starting the season just 1-5. Tight end and Pro Bowler Eric Ebron told me, "We've built a brotherhood. Nobody is selfish to the point where we feel unbreakable." I asked head coach Frank Reich, "What has surprised you about your team's hot streak as you head into the Chiefs game?"
Certainly, when you start to look over at the run that we've been on is certainly a very good run that the players and the coaching staff have done a great job on. I think the hardest thing to do is just to maintain that high level. And, I think if anything for a younger team per se, that's been one of the best things for me to see is us to handle the winning, week in and week out.
Of course, a big part of the Colts' success, their quarterback, Andrew Luck, enjoying the best completion percentage, around 67% of his career, the best passer rating, 98.7 of his career. His blindside protector, Anthony Costanzo, told me of Luck, he's a man on a mission. No time has been wasted. And tight end Eric Ebron adding, it's been amazing to watch him will himself back into the caliber of player he once was.
Thank you, Stacey. The two quarterbacks in that matchup have combined for 89 touchdown passes. Here they are, ladies and gentlemen, the 8 starting quarterbacks remaining in the postseason. It's nothing but special dudes up here, James Jones.
Absolutely.
And these guys have made some special throws this year, individual throws, and we had to turn to you because we know you know what for when it comes to special throws with the guy you played with in Green Bay.
Absolutely. And the good thing about playing with special guys like this is as a wide receiver, you're never covered because they're going to – I ran this route, and when I put my hand up, I said, why am I putting my hand up? He cannot make this throw. But then again, I thought, man, I'm playing with Aaron Rodgers, man. Let me throw my hand up. And he threw this ball, and I said, oh, this boy good. I said, he good for making this. Now, it's a good catch, but the throw, I'm like, man, he threw this ball on the money, on the run, little room to waste, man, perfect throw. I'm like, man, listen, I'm throwing my hand up every time. He is special. I'm never covered. And that's the same thing these guys are going to give you right here, man. When you sit here and you talk about these dudes, they're special.
Yeah, okay. Well, we've taken a couple of throws from some of these guys, and we just want you to get your reaction and break it down how they did it, starting with maybe the throw of the year the no-look pass by Pat Mahomes.
And look, the fans love this. And I love it too as a fan watching this. But as a receiver, the main thing when you're running a route, the main thing you look for is the quarterback's eyes. And if he's not looking at you, that's telling me he's not throwing it to me. And then all of a sudden, it's a no-looker and the ball sneaks up on you. I'm surprised he caught it because I probably would have batted down because it would have snuck up on me real quick and I would have batted it down because you're looking at the quarterback's eyes. That's special.
I've never seen anyone do anything like that except for practice, when they're just messing around. That was a tight, tense game in Week 14 with the Baltimore Ravens.
But that lets you know that he does that 24/7.
One that we saw just last week, and it ended up being one of the great throws in the wild card weekend. Nick Foles zipping one up over the top. How do you get that?
This is Soldier Field. You come out in pregame, you see where the wind is blowing and all that. And this right here, he just get a little baseball spin on this, throw that little curveball right there. Listen, just because you ain't rolling out of the pocket and all that stuff don't mean you can't make special throws. This right here is special, man. In the pocket, Golden Tate going on a big-time beeline across the middle, and you just spin that right in the bread
Didn't
basket.
step into it. He was
That's
like
a
this
special throw
when he
right
threw
there.
it.
Just flick of the wrist.
Put it right in there. Eagles survive and advance. And then one throw from the man you like to call filthy. Phillip Rivers on a 4th and 8 play goes to Travis Benjamin.
Now this right here is, you would look at Phillip right here like, no, don't throw this. Don't throw this. But this right here lets you know this is why filthy Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. There's nowhere to put this ball in. Only spot to put it right behind the defender, right in the bread bag. He's standing in the pocket. And what I want to tell people about Filthy, I had a cup of coffee in San Diego. Everybody talk about his throwing motion and all that. I thought about it too. And I lined up, he said, JJ, let's go. I'm like, man, he don't throw the ball hard. I'm coming from Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Derek Carr. They spin the ball. Man, that ball hit my hands. I said, oh my goodness, that ball is coming. So anybody think the throwing motion is stopping him from putting zing on the ball? Think again, because that ball is coming.
Take a couple layers of skin off you there. My personal favorite throw is when I get to throw across the studio to
There we go. Throw it over.
Thanks. And I'll catch it like this. James, I give you credit. You called all the Chargers' success in the preseason. I, on the other hand, had the Jags in the Super Bowl. That prediction fell apart, as their season did, but it sounds like they're taking steps to repair some of the damage for next year. According to Ian Rappaport, Leonard Fournette met with Tom Coughlin, who called his behavior on the sideline in Week 17 selfish and disrespectful. The goal of the meeting was to clear the air, and according to Ian, it went well. So maybe he'll be back next year in Jacksonville. Thomas Davis, we learned last night, will definitely not be returning to Carolina. The Panthers informing their longtime linebacker and former Walter Payton Man of the Year Award winner that he would be moving, or rather they would be moving in a different direction next season. He says he does intend to play for another team. Mike McCarthy, on the other hand, he says he's going to take a year off. Told Tom Pelissero that he has no intention of pursuing another coaching opportunity this season now that the Jets job that he was interested in is filled. Says his family cheered at the dinner table when he told them. Cardinals introduced Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach yesterday, and he introduced himself to the Good Morning Football crew this morning with a few thoughts about his new quarterback, the 10th overall draft pick from last year, Josh Rosen.
Extremely talented thrower of the football. When you watch him cut it loose, he can throw it with anybody. Very cerebral young man and competitive, ultra competitive. I think this year, it was rough at times. Towards the end, took a bunch of hits and big shots and kept getting up, which is something that's exciting to see as a coach, that he'll continue to fight, continue to play hard for his teammates.
Big day for Vic Fangio in Denver, introduced as a head coach for the first time after 32 seasons as an NFL assistant. Told the room today, that included Von Miller, by the way, he showed up to support his new coach, that he would continue calling the defensive plays. And he went into more detail about his plans for 2019 with James Palmer.
Vic, first off, congrats. And secondly, you did say you're going to call plays on the defensive side of the ball, but first time as a head coach. How do you balance everything that'll be on your plate for the first time? Did you talk to anybody about balancing all that does both?
Well, I saw it this year firsthand with Matt Nagy. He was the head coach and called plays and was the offensive coordinator. It'll just be a process that I'm going to have to work through and find the comfort level for me, and I'll eventually get there. But to say it's already there, but it will be a process. But seeing Matt do it, gives me an idea.
Now, I don't want to throw you under the bus with the safety pins on the pants. It seems like we talk so much about the gray sweats. It seems like the one thing, and I heard you were in them last night here in the facility, it seems like that's the one thing you want to do, coach, and that's what you are and what makes you up.
It is. I mean, that's, I'm a coach, Coaching like going to the senior prom in high school, you don't need a tuxedo. So we just need to get comfortable and get ready to work long and hard.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, man, make sure your pants are hemmed around James Palmer. Bust right like that.
Fashion expert.
Vic Fangio is a defensive expert.
He is.
Right? So he inherits a lot of defensive weapons. Von Miller, I mentioned, he showed up at the press conference today, sat in the crowd,
As he should.
and listens to Vic Fangio tell everybody assembled that Von Miller could play better than he's ever played before. How is Vic Fangio going to help him do that?
Well, he's a specialist, and you heard in his press conference, he talked about fundamentals and technique. And as a player, you can always learn. In my 15th season, I was still learning how to be better as a player. But in his system, I will say this, it's a disciplined system. He gives you a blueprint. He's got a lot of history. Look at the San Francisco 49ers when he was there. Top 5 at getting after the quarterback, top 5 turnovers, top 5 rush defense. He does a great job of getting after people with his front four and covering with the back end. You got to look at the certain guys that he played with, okay? You had Aldon Smith, you had Brooks, you had Justin Smith. Now you go to the Bears, you got Leonard Floyd, you got Khalil Mack, you got athletic linebackers, Trevathan, you had Willis, you had Navarro Bowman. Now you go here, you got Marshall, Todd Davis. You go into Denver, you pretty much already have the foundation up front. His defenses are based off of having a strong front seven, being able to get after the quarterback. Von Miller, you got Chubb, you got Shane Ray, don't forget about him. You got Pecco inside, and you got Wolf. Maybe some changes inside to go a little more athletic or guys that can get to the quarterback. But your linebackers, they got to be active. They got to be able to cover. They got to be able to run and play good in space. Brandon Marshall, Todd Davis, like I mentioned. So he already has pretty much a good foundation. He'll go in, implement that discipline, that technique, those fundamentals, and he's going to get after people. Don't blitz a lot, but when he's due, he's very accurate at getting to the quarterback.
He knows everything about getting to the quarterback. As for his quarterback, he said today, right now, Case Keenum is our quarterback. Scott.
Well, if you watch us regularly here on NFL Total Access, we do the FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Week. Time to get ready for the FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year. And here are the nominees. 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, and you can help decide the winner. Go to NFL.com/FedEx right now. Cast your votes. The winners will be announced Super Bowl week in Atlanta. After the break on this episode of NFL Total Access, Titans linebacker and our special guest, Jayon Brown, on how win and in turned into one and done, and how to get the best of Tom Brady and Dak Prescott. And
welcome in a very, very special guest. This is my nephew, second-year linebacker with the Titans, Jayon Brown, out of Long Beach Poly. And he also played at some college across the street. I won't mention. He went to UCLA as well. Jayon, welcome to the show, man. I know you'd rather be playing football, but how does it feel after a great season that you just had?
It feels good. Most definitely feel like, I'd rather be in the playoffs right now, but it was a good season for us, and we got a lot to build on going into next season.
It is an exciting future. I talked to Mike Vrabel, who was my teammate, who was your coach, had a lot of exciting things to say about you. What was your first impression when he walked in the building?
I was like, man, this is a big dude.
To play linebacker.
Yeah, no doubt. And I knew he played linebacker with you for a long time, and he was on a great team, got multiple Super Bowl rings, so I knew he knew what he was talking about. And then talking to him, knowing that his football knowledge is unreal. Like, he studies so much film and knows so much. And he had a lot to teach me, and I feel like he elevated my game so much this my second year.
Okay, I know everybody don't know, but me and your dad grew up together. I watched this kid grow up from the grassroots till now. Like I said, you should be in the playoffs, but week 17, y'all didn't get it done. The team that got it done was the Colts. The other team you played against that you watched was the Patriots and the Cowboys. Let's start off with the Patriots. I know that week was a fun, exciting week for you guys. You had more Patriots pretty much on that team and in the front office than they did on the other side of the ball. How intense was that week in preparing, and how was Mike that week?
Oh, man. First of all, it was coming off of a short week because I believe we had Monday night against Dallas, and then going into the Patriots game for that Sunday, so it was a short week to prepare. But we were up for it. We knew everybody in our building was hyped for this one. It's Tom Brady, the Patriots. You know, the history of the Patriots is unbelievable, remarkable by just how much they win. And going in there, the preparation, you know, just not to beat ourselves. The Patriots, they don't make many mistakes, and we just have to be on top of our game.
You guys also played against the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott. When you're going against this offense, like the Rams are going to do this weekend, what is the number one thing you guys come into the meeting room? Dean Pease, who was my coordinator, defensive coordinator too, tell you guys that we got to stop and shut down if we're going to have any success?
No doubt. You got to start off with stopping the run. You know, getting the ball ran on the defense is diminishing. It hurts. So you take that personal. So you got to stop the run, make it one-dimensional, get them to 3rd and long, and let your pass rushers rush and blitz and let your dudes cover and make plays.
Rams are not a good run defense, so that's good advice for them. But Dak, also, you had a strip sack right there where you got the ball out. What type of problems? Because we've seen Dak over the last couple of weeks do more with his feet and his arm. He's starting to spread the ball around and make key plays. What do you have to do against a mobile guy like that can also throw the football?
He's a really good player. You got to keep him in the pocket and make him beat you with the arm. Not saying he's not a great quarterback. He's a really good quarterback with a very strong arm, but they got a really good back in the backfield. So stop the run, load the box up with Zeke, and then after stopping that, get him in 3rd and long, and then just go after it.
Now, I talked about week 17, that it was either win or go home. You guys had an opportunity to get to the playoffs, didn't make it. Andrew Luck and this Colts team is on fire right now. You also had a good game against them, a lot of tackles. You had a pick six. You took it to the house. How do you slow down Andrew Luck now where he has so many weapons with the running game with Marlon Mack?
It's hard to stop them right now. I believe they've won 10 out of the last 11 games, so they're rolling right now. Andrew Luck has such a great control of that offense. His hard count is probably the best in the league that we've ever seen, and you just got to go in there and once again, like, they got good backs, receivers.
You got in the end zone. I didn't know if he was going to make it. You stumbled in there, but you got in the end zone.
You seen that little juke right there, a little hop step?
There you go.
No, but it was good. But, you know, this is a really good team right now, and they're hot. The defense is on fire, giving the ball back to the offense to put up points.
All right, well, next year I don't want to be having this interview with you around this time. I want to see you in the playoffs smiling, making plays like you did. Appreciate you coming down. Thanks, Jayon.
Well, thanks, guys. Here is the divisional weekend schedule. Colts at Chiefs gets us kicked off from Arrowhead. Rams and Cowboys, the nightcap on Saturday night. Sunday, it's Patriots Chargers, supposedly freezing temperatures for Foxborough, shocker, in January. And then we go to the Dome. The Saints and Eagles wrap up divisional weekend. So that's how we're going to spend our weekend, watching glorious football on Saturday and Sunday. Our analytics expert, Cynthia Freeland, spent her week running simulations.
So many simulations.
20,000 simulations on each one of those games, yes?
And the ones all the way potentially possible leading up to the potential Super Bowl.
Okay.
All of them.
All right. Tons of simulations. Let's just keep it to one for right now.
Narrow it down.
The last game of the weekend, a lot of people got their eye on this Saints-Eagles matchup. What does the model say for a key for New Orleans to win?
So for New Orleans, it's those quick passes, the foundation of really fast, like under 2.5 second passes that create the foundation with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara so that Drew Brees can diagnose the defense and find those strategic deep passes to other receivers that aren't necessarily Michael Thomas or Alvin Kamara in this situation.
Did they run simulation factoring in how surgical he is in the Superdome?
Well, absolutely. It does take into account that, but it also takes into account the fact that the Eagles' defensive front has actually been generating more pressure in recent games. In the past 4 games, they've kind of doubled their disruptive pressure rate, which is a big deal against Drew Brees, because we've seen his O-line be banged up. So Teron Armstead's health, especially on that left side, will be a big factor. So can we put Ryan Ramczyk back on the right? Is Larry Warford going to be right guard? Because that's where Fletcher Cox likes to bring that interior pressure. And then Michael Bennett comes from the outside. So the O-line is kind of the key to all this happening.
Well, one of the factors that the Eagles made their Super Bowl run last year was that interior pass rush. How about for Philadelphia? What do they say Foles and company have to do to score with the Saints and pull off the upset?
Well, as it turns out, quick passes again. Those under 2.5 second passes again are a huge factor in this one. We've seen Nick Foles throw 7 touchdowns and only 1 interception on really fast passes like that. So really, it's getting up to the line of scrimmage, having the right play called, and then just executing exactly what was called that, before the play even started. That's where they have had their most success this season, and especially in those past 4 games.
And if anybody could do it, these days it seems to be Foles, being able to do things that it just seems almost impossible. Okay, I want to know who's going to win the game, but you're not going to tell me, are you?
No, you can actually turn to, before your show tomorrow, we're going to watch Game Day Pick'em for a full hour. It's 3 o'clock.
Game Day Pick'em, NFL
6
Network.
o'clock Eastern.
Who wins and by how many points,
Absolutely. Everything you need to know about it. All the numbers.
All right, well, I'm going to cheat a little bit because on your article there on NFL.com, we have your Super Bowl predictions. By the way, you need to listen to this woman. Back in August, she predicted a Kansas City, New Orleans Super Bowl. Back in August. Those are the number 1 seeds,
right?
ladies and gentlemen. We'll see. And check out NFL.com/Freeland for the full story on Cynthia's game theory. Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Well, Wild Card Weekend trivia question. Which Dallas Cowboy made the play of the game against the Seahawks? Here's a hint. It wasn't Michael Gallup. It wasn't Zeke, and it wasn't even Dak. We will tell you who it was next.
All Tyson Anytizers chicken is raised with no antibiotics ever.
We have another winner to announce right now. Willie, our fellow Trojan Antoine Woods, the way to play winner from the wild card round. What did you do to earn that?
Did a great job. What'd you say again?
Antoine Woods, what did he do to win the award?
Oh, he made a great play, and he used great technique. I thought you said what he said. You threw me off when you said the Trojan stuff. I'm just thinking about USC. I wish we could have him back, but he did a great job right here. When you get an open field tackle and you're a big man, you like to pretty much unleash on the running back or the quarterback. Watch him get his hand to the side, run through the defender, and then roll off at the bottom. Didn't use all that weight. Nose guard moving in space like that.
So since he's this week's winner, he's going to get a letter from the commissioner and a donation to the school or charity of his choice.
Love Jones for kids.